John Merrill, who joins us in the studio. He's a visiting scholar at the U.S. Korea Institute at Johns Hopkins University. John, really appreciate you being with us.
Thanks. Good to be here again.
Thank you. So we're presumably seeing a very frustrated Kim here, lashing out in presumably the only way he knows how. What do you make of the North Korean leader's messaging?
I think it's a controlled response. I don't think it's lashing out. The United States has had a kind of crime and punishment approach to North Korea and other countries that we don't like. I think Turkey has been on the receiving end of a little bit of that. North Korea has shown a great deal of self-restraint for the past 2 years and not having any nuclear tests or long-range missile launches. And it's gotten few results from the United States in the form of sanctions relief, which is what it's after. That's stymied its economic development. And so I think Kim is trying to shake that loose. I think both sides still have an interest in doing some kind of deal that will improve relations. So I got my fingers crossed. I think it could still be a Happy New Year, but let's see.
And it seemed that we had a pretty muted and measured response from Secretary of State Mike Pompeo saying, it's regrettable, disappointing. We hope that they'll come back to the negotiating table and talk. What are the prospects for denuclearization talks at this point?
Well, I think denuclearization, as far as the North Koreans are concerned, is off the table. It's not going to happen. I could see an outside chance of maybe some paring back of their program, but they're not going to give it up. And people have to remember that they didn't start this. The United States, being from TRT, you know this pretty well, deployed tactical nuclear weapons, forward deployed them in many countries during the Cold War, Turkey included. We had 950 of those weapons. Now it can be told the exact number in South Korea. So it's more of an action-reaction kind of dynamic rather than an evildoer and punishment type reaction, as we tend to see it here in the U.S.
So if the premise is that North Korea is not going to fully denuclearize, is there still a deal to be made between Pyongyang and Washington?
It's a long shot at this point, but yeah, I think there is. Now, on the positive side, you have both Russia and China weighing in and saying that, these sanctions have to be, UN sanctions have to be relaxed. You've got Japan and South Korea, which I imagine are going to get pretty nervous with these developments. And so hopefully with neighboring countries, perhaps that's a new factor in this situation.
When he says a new strategic weapon, what do you think that is?
Who knows? It could be anything. There's a whole scale. It could be a long-range missile test. It could be a test of multiple warheads. It could be anything. It could be a nuclear test. I think nuclear is a little less likely than a long-range missile because it's more provocative, and that would get China and Russia really energized in a way that would be bad for North Korea.
John Merrill, Happy New Year to you. Thanks for being with us.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Good things in 2020.
Keep our fingers crossed.
All right.
Thank you.
Perfect.